Hi, this is Cyndi Thomson, and you're watching The Libby O Show.
How did she do it? Do it. Do it. Do it.
Libby, oh, oh. Libby, oh, oh. Libby,
3,
oh, oh.
2,
Libby,
1.
it's the Libby O Show.
Hey friends, Libby O here with a brand new episode of the Libby O Show. I'm so excited about our guest today. She is a good friend of mine, and we're going to be talking about her brand new music that's out right now. In the early 2000s, she was at the top of the world in the country music industry with a certified gold album, My World, #1 singles. Then she decided to take a break, and now she is back better than ever. Cyndi Thomson, welcome to the Libby O Show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so good.
It's so good to catch up with you.
I know. I'm so excited about all of this. I've been looking forward to it.
Me too. Well, congratulations on everything. You've put out 3 new singles, Liar being the most recent one.
Yes.
Georgia and Me, which is my personal favorite, and we'll get to that in a minute.
Thank you.
And Sippin' Wine on the Water, and we've got wine here today.
Love it.
Love it. How are you feeling about everything?
Oh my gosh. Well, it's been a whirlwind. I mean, I knew I would always make music again. I just didn't know what it would look like. And the doors just kind of started opening, and I just said yes instead of being too afraid. I think sometimes fear kind of holds us back, obviously. And so for me, it was like, what am I waiting on? So it just started to fall into place, and I said yes. And it's been really beautiful. It's been wonderful to watch my kids. They're pretty much grown, 15 and 19, watch their mom kind of follow a dream that they knew about but had not seen me live out. I've been a stay-at-home mom for a really long time, and that's what I wanted to do, and it's been beautiful to help them kind of follow their dreams. So there's just so much about it that's just not what I expected. It's a new way of doing things. Before there was only one way to release music, and now there's a whole new world, and I've been cliff noting it all the while we're running in it. But most importantly, it's just felt so good to sing again and to write songs that really mean something to me, and then get to sing them out, and just to see the fans again. Some people, coming to the Opry, just singing what I really meant to say, and the audience I couldn't believe it. So it just feels like home. It feels really good to be back.
Well, we love having you back, and we're so glad that you're doing what you love and what God has gifted you to do in this world. And so,
Thanks.
Can you talk about What I Really Meant to Say? That was, the big hit that helped you rise to the top. And it's kind of, I don't know, I've been thinking about that song as preparing for this interview, and thinking how special it is even more that what you really meant to say was, I'm here to stay.
Yeah, that's good, Libby. That's really good.
You just had another interview.
Well, I think, what I really meant to say, I had no idea that it would turn into what it did, but I think it just resonated with people. I mean, that's the great thing about songwriting, is if you're writing really something authentic to you and then you deliver that message, I feel like there are people that can relate to that. And so for me, it wasn't going to be the first single originally. That wasn't what they had decided on. But the radio stations at the time that were kind of involved in picking the single kind of changed their mind and said, instead of I'm gone, we want What I Really Meant to Say. And so at that point, we were so excited because, I was excited. I knew it was supposed to be the single, and it just took off. I didn't expect that to happen, for it to be #1 for 3 weeks right out of the gate, and my life just radically changed. I mean, it was just crazy what artists, the life they live, and what happens when success hits. And it was such a blessing, but also very overwhelming for me. So,
what does it feel like coming back now? Why now?
Well, why now? Great question. A couple years ago, my dad and I were sitting together the day we knew he was going to pass away that day. So I was the last daughter to go in and spend time with him, and we had a beautiful conversation. And I remember looking at him and saying, I'm sorry I didn't play the Opry one more time for you. And he just held my hand, and we just talked about it. And that night, he went to be with Jesus. And the next day, I was driving around my hometown in just all the dirt roads that I had grown up on, where my first record was it was the portrait of that, my hometown. And I was just driving through town, and I was talking to God, and I was like, I want to make a record. I don't want to wait anymore. I feel like it's time, and I don't know what I'm waiting on. And I really had to do some soul searching. Like, what was it that was keeping me from it? I had some moments where I was trying to work on music, but the doors just shut. Yeah. And so I was like, okay, I'm just going to sit back and just keep living my, little life that's very quiet. And, but that day with my dad was the turning point for me. I didn't want to wait anymore. So once I made that decision, where my mind and my heart kind of connected to the idea of, okay, I'm going to do this, I can't care anymore, was when everything happened. Everything, all the doors opened, and I just ran right through them.
So yeah, you got to perform at the Opry with Vince Gill.
Yes.
How was that? Tell us about it.
It was a dream come true for so many reasons. It had been a long time since I'd played the Opry, and my kids had never been to the Opry, and I kind of did that on purpose. Because deep down inside, I had this feeling that I might sing there again one day. So I was like, what if their first time at the Opry is with their mom playing? So it worked out. And then, Vince has always been a champion and an encourager to me, and one of the kindest people on planet Earth. Not only is he extremely talented, but he's just so good. And he said, whatever I can do to champion you. And I said, how about you play the Opry with me? And he said, absolutely. So we worked up what I really meant to say, and, I got a sequin suit. And I just walked out on that stage. Thank you. And I was like, here it is. My mom was there. I know my daddy was there, and my kids were there. It was just so beautiful just to experience that all over again. But it is a little bit different. It's got a story attached to it, which I find really, it's my story. And, it feels good to be home, and it feels like home, but, I don't know.
Yeah. It's all good things. And
Yeah.
you played CMA Fest.
Yes.
You played Girls of Nashville recently with Heather Morgan and her crew. And so
Yeah.
what does it feel like to be really out there performing more too?
Oh my gosh. Well, at first I was a little nervous because I was like, wait, what have I done? Can I still do this? And, but it's been the best, audiences and the best groups of people. It's just like, I feel so welcome, and just to see, I played the Bluebird the other night, and I just looked out, and there were so many different tables of all, just different demographics of people, like young and old, and people were singing what I really meant to say. They were singing Life Ain't Always Beautiful, and it was just really beautiful to watch that. And so it's just been a wonderful experience. Like, I can't believe it's all happening, the way that it is. It's been a lot of hard work, though. Yeah. I won't, doing this independently has been what's really different about it, right? Learning the ropes and how it all works. And
is there freedom in that a little bit versus when you were signed to a record deal? Where I'm sure there's pros and cons, but now what is the advantage to going at this independent at the moment?
Well, as soon as I made the decision to make music, I had some friends that were doing it independently, and then some friends who'd left labels and had their own companies doing it independently. So I immediately was like, can I take you to lunch? I took like tons of people to lunch. I was like, how do you do this? What does this look like? And, I had a beautiful experience at Capitol. I had freedom there. I brought that record into them, and they let me make that record and to be a part of all the music videos and the photo shoots. So I was very much in a really good situation at Capitol. And I had freedom in that aspect. But in coming back and learning the new way, yeah, it is very freeing, because, we even had to pivot with songs. We changed a song last minute. And we could do that because we're on our own and independent. But there's also things that are a lot harder about it, right? Mm-hmm. Because I'm wearing more than just the artist hat, the songwriter hat. I'm wearing so many more hats. And I go home and I'm a mama, and I cook dinner and I clean our house, and I have a puppy. It's just still living that life, but in turn learning a whole new business. And, I think I told you earlier, I'm tired.
You look amazing.
Thank you. You do too.
Thank you so much. And I want to talk about, though, you being a songwriter.
Okay.
Because I think you're an amazing storyteller, and I think that's part of why your music has resonated so much with people. So, what do you love most about songwriting? For those that are listening, watching, "Life Ain't Always Beautiful" is, one of Gary Allan's biggest hits that
Yeah.
you wrote. So, talk about writing songs and what that does for you creatively.
For me, I've always loved telling stories. I mean, I have journals and, I loved, certain English classes for the paper writing and the storytelling of that. And it's just always been something that I didn't know I was really doing prior to moving to Nashville and writing songs. I was kind of writing them, and I always loved music, and I loved getting records and just listening to the whole record in one sitting, and just thinking about the words and the stories. So for me, it was just important because I felt like I had some things to say. I wanted people to know who I was, and I got with Tommy James, on the first record, My World, and I learned the start of learning the craft of writing by being in the room with amazing writers. I think there's always something you can learn from a writing session, no matter how many songs you've ever written or how many hits that you have. So for me, I love that process of getting in the room with someone and just creating something that's just never been heard before, melodies and lyrics. And so, the process is different for me each time. I mean, I think you get in a room with someone and they may have a melody, they may have a hook. And so you just start writing, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful thing. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, And when we started writing this music this time around, I was a little worried. I'm like, what do I have to say? Like, what is on my mind? And I got in touch with Tommy. I was in Charleston with my kids, and I said, hey, you want to get together? And that night we were just visiting. I just said, hey, you want to write with me? I'm going to make a record. I just said it to him. He said yes. So he flew into town 3 days later, and we just started writing, and it was what I wanted to say. And I was like, okay, I think we're on the right track here.
I think we're on our way.
Yeah. And with Life Ain't Always Beautiful, I wrote that with Tommy. And originally that was for my second record. That was going to be for me. And the day we finished it, I was like, no, this is for a guy. This is not for me. And he was like, what? What are you talking about? I don't know what compelled me to say that, but I felt like a guy needed to sing the song. And so, when we turned it in a couple weeks later to Sony, someone took it down to the studio where he was. Arthur Buenahora took it down. He was a song guy at Sony, and said, Gary, I got a song you got to hear. And he was already cutting his record. He had picked all the songs, and it was that story that you hear about in Nashville. And so Arthur drove it over, and Gary listened, and he was like, I want it. And he had gone through something really tragic at that time in his life. So it was like the perfect song for that scenario for him. And so I look at that all the time and think, that was meant for Gary.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
And I think music, I'm sure, of course, a lot of other people that listened to that song, it helped them through what they were going through. And I think, as creative people, we forget that what we do does help people face life and face what's in front of them with an, it's going to be okay mentality. And I want to hear a little bit of your take on what it means to experience disappointment and how you get through that. Because I know for me, that's something that I really struggle with, and I have to every day, something good and bad can happen in the same day. And I have to realize, it's only temporary. I'm not going to let that get me down. I'm not going to let it stop me. What has helped you continue to keep going?
Goodness. Well, my faith, first and foremost. Disappointment can be very debilitating. It can tie you up in chains that, that are invisible to you, but you feel them. And so it's really important to be on the pulse of it, like when it happens, to kind of deal with it head on. But I've had a lot of disappointment, and, I can't say that some of it I'm over, but I think just, I look at my children every day and, still have to be a mama, and I love being a mom, but I mean, I've even walked them through disappointment, and I'm listening to my own words going, that was good. I need to receive that for myself.
I need to write that down.
Yeah, I need to just really chew on that for a while. But I've had a lot of disappointment, and I think that's just life in general, right? We all go through things that really have, that have the the possibility of holding us down. And so we just have to make sure we have friends around us. We rally the troops to go, this is not the truth. This is who you are. This is what you're made to do. This is what your purpose looks like. And, it's just really important to stay close. For me, it's my faith and it's friendships, to help me along the way. Even today, I had something where I called a friend and she just kind of lifted me out of that place of like, okay, does this look this way? And she was like, that absolutely doesn't look that way. Let me flip this for you, the script. So, I don't know. I'm still working on it.
I feel like, we all are. It's so, I don't know, in a chaotic world, in a place that we have to, like we were talking before this about posting social media and having to be everywhere at one time. And you can get really, hyper focused on something just so in your own world. And then when you do take a step back and think, okay, no.
Yeah.
I am doing my absolute best. And I am proud of it.
Right. And it's perspective too. It's really like, I don't know, I'm really hard on myself in general and I'm trying to work on that. But disappointment sucks.
It does. You know what? Why don't we drink? Let's drink some wine, guys.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. In honor of your new single, Sippin' Wine on the Water, which I love.
Thank you.
It's so fun. I brought a bottle of Libby bubbled wine.
Okay, yummy.
So Libby Wines is low in calorie, it's vegan, non-GMO, low in alcohol, low in sugar, all the good things.
Libby, look at you.
Look at us. And I picked the white blend because it's got peach in it.
Nice. I'm all about the peaches.
Same. We're both from
South Georgia. Yeah.
Tifton?
Mm-hmm. Tifton, Georgia.
I'm from Augusta. I drove, get this off in one. Here we go.
Love that.
I'm going to pour you the first glass. It's off Amazon. Isn't it cute?
So cute. Look at you. Yeah, pour me the glass first.
I just want to have a good time.
Me too.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really good.
Light, refreshing. You want to make sure it's chilled.
Yeah, you do.
You don't want to drink this just like out of the pantry.
Unless it's been a hard day.
Unless it's been like a really rough day, that's when you really lighten up with this. But we put out a brand new series today called Libby Suits All Occasions, and JR, who's on set with us filming this episode, starred in one of the skits, and so you can watch it now on YouTube, and
nice.
It's fun, very, very fun. So, anywho, I want to talk about Sippin' Wine on the Water.
Okay.
Talk about why you wrote it. You're going to perform it for us later, which I'm so excited about.
Sippin' Wine on the Water, I wrote a while back with some friends of mine, and I normally don't gravitate towards up-tempo songs. I love a sad song. I love a love song. I like to make people cry. It's just, I love that. So when we started writing the song, one of the co-writers, Davis, was like, I'm going to push you out of your comfort zone. I was like, okay. And he started playing the riff, and I was like, no, can't do that. I don't sing fast. But the more we dove into it and started writing, I was like, I really like this. And so we finished it. I took it home to my sweet hubby, DJ Goodman, and I said, hey, could you just do a demo for us? We just need a demo. So he played every instrument, put it together, and we just kind of set it aside. And when we started making this new music, I was like, it has to be a single. Absolutely. So when we made our plan, we wanted to release it around, in the spring, summertime. We just knew what we wanted to do with it. And it's his. I'm so proud of him. And, I'm singing Sippin' Wine on the Water. And it was fun to shoot the video for it. We did it in a creek.
Did you film it in Leaper's Fork? It looks like a Leaper's Fork, but maybe it wasn't.
It wasn't Leaper's Fork. We did it actually in my neighborhood.
I love that.
So Becky Fluke is amazing, and she's like my favorite director and photographer. She's from Georgia, and she's a gem. She's such a good person. So I love having her around, and I was like, listen, there is the most beautiful creek, and it runs for a long time. So we had a lot of options and places to shoot, and she came out for a scout, and she's like, this is crazy, but let's just do the whole video in here. Because again, we're independent. We're doing everything on a dime. We're being very resourceful. And so we just went out there and did it, and it worked. So I love it.
Well, and speaking of aesthetic and everything, I love your style.
Thank you.
I love who you're influenced by. And you even design your own jewelry.
I do.
Haybelle Co.
Yes.
And it's also been featured in several magazines. Olivia Culpo recently at her wedding wore one of your pieces. Lainey Wilson has worn several of your pieces. Talk about that journey for you creatively.
Oh my gosh, it's one of my favorite things in the world to do. I haven't been doing it as much lately because I've been running another business, but
You.
yeah, me. But it was born just out of wanting purpose, just kind of going, gosh, I'm so creative. I want to do something.
Yeah.
And this was before music, and I thought, what can I do? And we'd gone to the beach. We went into this boutique, and I saw these earrings, and I looked at my husband. I said, I think I'm going to start making jewelry. And he was like, okay. So literally came home. He did say that to me. He is such a good man. I could have said, I'm going to make, aprons or pot holder. He'd have been like, okay, what do we need to buy for that? So I go to all these antique stores. I didn't know what I was doing. And I just sat down at my dining room table and just started making things. And I just really felt strong that I was taking things that had been discarded and thrown away and making them into something new. And within 2 weeks, it was on the red carpet and it was showing up in, different artists wanted to wear it. And I was thinking, please don't let it break, because I'm so new to this jewelry business. I'm learning about soldering and different epoxies and just how to make things. And so I would stay up so late watching all kinds of YouTube videos, but literally just shop all over the world. And I take antique pieces and make them into one-of-a-kind pieces. And so it's just kind of different stylists started calling. And Lainey wore the famous eagle rhinestone necklace to the CMA Awards last year when she won all the awards. And now it's in the Country Music Hall of Fame in a Lainey exhibit. So I know I got in the Country Music Hall of Fame. So it's been fun. Different artists wear it on their Opry performances, or, Little Big Town's worn it. I think it might be a part of their Christmas album pictures. I don't know. But yeah, it's one of my favorite things to do. So
When you're wearing one of your pieces today.
yeah, I'm wearing a couple pieces. This was an old hat pin, and it's very Art Deco. I like Art Deco. This is Art Deco. And then I made these. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see the circular, the diamond part. That's beautiful. It's like the pendant almost.
I just take things and break them or repair them and then make them into like something crazy. So it's been fun. And Olivia Culpo, I did make something for her wedding. Her mother asked me to make something for using the great grandmother's rosary. So I'm about to post about that on Haybelle. I've waited. She got married, a little bit ago. But yeah, so it's just been really fun how that, just listening to your heart. And I just really feel like it was a God thing, that I did feel like I had something I never knew about myself, that I could make art. I mean, I remember my husband coming in and he would just peek in there. I'd be working late at night. He's like, I can't believe you're doing this. I'm like, I know, it's crazy. I built a website. I designed the logos. I took all the photography. I take all the pictures. I mean, it's a one-man show. I mean, I have people that'll come in and help from time to time, but yeah.
There's something really rewarding about saying I did all of that.
It
Or
is.
I built
Yeah.
something from the ground up and people want to wear it, or even bringing to life like classic stories, things from the past. I mean, I think people really, I don't know, there's something about nostalgia, about,
Yeah.
tradition, or something that's old and turning into something new again. That's
It's a really fulfilling. Like I'll find something so old and mix it with something modern, and then it's not old anymore, right? It's like young people are wanting to wear it, and it's kind of rock and roll. Some of it. I work a lot with eagles and stars, and so it's fun. And my daughter's kind of been moving into helping me some. So we have some ideas for Haybelle that kind of go beyond jewelry, in the works.
Who's your dream collaboration for Haybelle and a dream collaboration for music?
Oh, why did you ask me that?
Because I feel like you've got some.
I've got a lot. We could be here all night. Jewelry. I would love to work with, there's a couple people. I admire Kendra Scott so much. Her story is so inspiring. She was making jewelry in her home and would take it to boutiques herself and just try to get it in the stores, and, and eventually worked her way to Nordstrom. I've listened to all her podcasts and read everything about her. So I think I would just love to maybe take her to lunch and maybe work on something with her. I just love her spirit and her passion. And then with music, obviously, I would love to, there's so many. Luke Combs, Thomas Rhett.
I feel like since you've written for a guy, it would be cool for you to do a collaboration.
I would love it. Jelly Roll. Like, I have this song that I'm holding for a collaboration that I specifically wrote to do that with. And it's supposed to be with a guy. I think it's like kind of a gritty song. And so I'm just kind of like waiting on the moment, on the person. But yeah, I would love to do something like that.
I'm excited to see it.
Thanks.
We're talking about it now. We're going to post about it later.
Okay, let's do
I'm going
it.
to say we heard it first on the Libby O Show.
Yes, you did.
So, Georgia and Me. We have to talk about that song.
Yeah.
We're both from very small podunk towns in Georgia, which is, there's a lot of stories that come from that, and there's a lot of heart and a lot of charm. So, in honor, I want to lighten up with Libby and talk about Georgia, the
Okay.
Peach State.
Let's talk about Georgia.
Let's talk about Georgia. So, writing Georgia and Me, what was that like for you? Because I feel like it kind of has the same feel as your first record. It has a little bit of that
Yes.
same.
Well, I knew that it was important for me not to, I mean, it really wasn't hard to be anybody else but me when we started writing. But I wanted a song about Georgia because I thought if I'm coming back to music, there's this whole different generation that knows nothing about me. And I wanted to pay homage to Georgia because that is where I'm from. It's a big part of my life. It's why I talk the way that I do. It's where my family lives. And it's all my first record, was me growing up in Georgia. And so I sat with Paul Sykes and I said, listen, I want a Georgia song, but I want to talk about like all the good things. I mean, I knew I wanted to talk about the Friday nights but we wanted to write it differently. We wanted to write, the yes ma'am, no sir, all the things that I was raised, to know, to do, and to live this life in Georgia. And it just made sense. So I wanted it to be the first single, which I could decide that because
you get to, seriously.
because I get to, because we're independent. But I think it just made sense to bring those fans back in because honestly, we were really also wanting to reach them too. Like, hey, I'm back. And like you said, it's so reminiscent of the first record and the sound of it. So Paul really did a good job, not only writing it with me, but just producing that song. He did a great job.
Okay, so where can people follow you, keep up with you?
And please do when I tell you.
Yes, follow Cyndi Thomson and Haybelle.
Yes, okay. So Cyndi Thomson, CyndiThomson. There's no P in it. Makes it really complicated, I know. But Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, have a YouTube channel. And then TikTok. That's a fun one. You need to go follow me on TikTok.
You do.
I'm learning all the TikTok ways. And then Haybelle is Haybelle Co. Haybelle Co. And it's on Instagram and online, haybelleco.com. So,
well, thanks for being on the show, Cyndi.
thanks for having me. I know, I love being with you.
And stream all of her new music everywhere. Make sure you go follow Cyndi. Keep up with what's happening next. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you soon.
It's the Libby O Show. The Libby O Show. It's the Libby O Show. It's the Libby O Show.